More time here. So welcome to Appina Travel. In case you don't know who we are, this is the agenda today. I'm going to just do a quick intro, talk very briefly about me and Appina. Then we get into the performance theme. We'll talk about safety and comfort. And then, of course, if there are any questions in the end, please let me know. There will be a lot of information today. Not everything is on the slides. I will be speaking quite a bit. Feel free to take notes, but you don't have to. We will also email you the recording, and you can also find the recording on our website after this webinar is done. So that's just for your information. So who's Appina Travel? In case you're new to us, we are a DMC for groups to Germany and Central Europe. We are around since 2002, have 25 employees, operate about 1,200 groups a year, and our staff is multilingual. So we do speak German, English, French, Italian, and Spanish. We are local, meaning we have two offices in Germany. One is close to Munich and the other one is in Dresden. Our staff has over 30 years experience in creating customized group tours. We do offer a 24/7 emergency service. This is always something that is important if you have groups on the ground and something might happen. We are there locally, and our phone is definitely with a real person 24/7. And we care. So we are an extension of you. We really truly care about your group as if it would be our own. Lastly, we do personally inspect all attractions, hotels, bus companies, restaurants we are working with, and we also hand select our tour guides, probably the most important part when it comes to trusting us with your groups. Really briefly, this is just an overview, a visual of where we are. We are in the middle, we are in Germany, but we do service all the surrounding countries. I would say basically everywhere you could go by bus. So you see Poland, Hungary, Romania, Czech Republic. We do, of course, the German-speaking countries. We also do Benelux, and then France and Italy in combination with other countries. If in doubt, you can always send us the quote, and then we can let you know if this is our expertise or not. Now, today is performance tours. Performance tours are unique travel experiences that combine hands-on performing opportunities with cultural exploration. The activities can be tailored to the group, from general sightseeing and interactive workshops to music-focused visits, such as instrument, museums, or opera house tours, and of course also including performances for the group. Each tour is designed to engage participants creatively while immersing them in local culture. Again, we customized everything, so it really depends on the group. We organize performance tours not only for students, but of course also for adults. We use usually 3- or 4-star hotels, again, completely dependent on the group. Usually for students, it's more the 3-star category. For the adults, more the 4-star categories. We can organize any type of performance, so that's important. But of course, the earlier we have the information, the details, the better. And I will speak a little bit more about the requirements that we would need or that would be helpful to have when it comes to organizing performance tours. So next, or what you will explore in this webinar is just different varieties of performance. There could be music-themed sightseeing, music museums and cultural sites, evening concert options. We offer unique workshops and experiences, performance venues, and then what are the details needed to make your performance to happen, so details and planning. Because there's so much information, I'm really condensing it to only a few examples today. We have whole lists of performances or performance venues that we work with. We know what they need, what is allowed, what is not allowed. So if you ever have questions, please feel free to reach out. We can certainly help you with it. Otherwise, this this webinar today would be hours long. So unfortunately, it's very condensed. So going a little bit into the theme of music-focused sightseeing. So for example, that could be an English-speaking guided tour at the German Opera House in Berlin. Usually it's about 1.5 hours. It could be an English-speaking guided tour or French, depending on what your group needs. At the Semperoper in Dresden. The neat thing there is you get to go on stage and you see the Orchestergraben, which is the orchestra pit. You could also do a behind the scenes tour at the Bavarian State Opera in Munich, backstage tours at the Czech National State Opera, English guided visit of the Bayreuth Festival Theater, and many, many, many more, just to name a few, just to give you some ideas. Music museum, cultural visits could be a visit at the Museum of Musical Instruments in Berlin. There's also museums that have an on-site sound laboratory for the testing of instruments. We could visit the Richard Wagner Museum in Bayreuth. Again, there's so many music museums, specifically Germany, Austria. You ask us, we name it. We have a whole list of museums we work with. And then just to give a quick idea of evening performances and concerts, it could be a concert at the Philharmonie in Berlin, the Nuremberg Orchestra, Isar Philharmonic in Munich, and again, many, many more. Like I said, if you need ideas, let us know. We can send them over to you. Next, an idea would also be workshops and interactive experience. So really good workshops are where music teachers or orchestra members listen to what the group plays. We did that many times. And then they provide feedback or suggestions for improvement to the players. So that is always something that is very appreciated. We had a yodeling class once in Munich. We had a waltz dancing class in Vienna. So those are just some examples of what we did with groups. In Leipzig, we had once a group visit a music high school with a performance and then an exchange after with the students. So performance together with the students and then an exchange after. This can be done, of course, in many cities in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, wherever, not just in Leipzig, but just to give you some ideas of possible interactive workshop experiences. Next, performance venues. So when it comes to performance venues, we can arrange locations that are free of charge. We can also arrange locations that really have a wow factor. Usually these locations are expensive, more expensive for sure. But of course, if you have specific requests, we get the rate to you, and then we can see if that fits within the budget of the group. So, for example, wow factor locations would be the St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna. You see that on the slide on the left, I think should be on your left. I'm not sure if Zoom switches the side, but the big cathedral is the one in Vienna. The one to the right is the Chinese tower in the English Garden in Munich. We had an outside performance there. But bringing it back to wow factor, so St. Stephen's Cathedral, the Salzburg Cathedral, Schönbrunn Palace, Nymphenburg Palace, there's many more. Again, usually these venues need to be reserved way ahead of time, and they do cost money. Whereas the free venues could be where are my notes here? Okay, there could be public squares, museums, restaurants, churches, shopping centers, or park. We did one in front of the Brandenburger Tor, for example. So they're usually outside. They usually have pedestrian traffic. I know that most performers would like to have an audience, so it's definitely easier to get an audience with outside venues. However, then we sometimes have the challenge with the weather and if they need electricity. But again, everything can be planned as long as we know ahead of time. So these are just a few examples when it comes to the performance venues. Oh, and then I wanted to play a video, but I don't think it's working. So this is one of the groups that we had, and they it was in the Gläserne manufacturer in Dresden, which is a glass manufacturer in Dresden. It's owned by Volkswagen, so the car manufacturer, VW. It's a high-tech production facility and a visitor experience center owned by Volkswagen, like I said. So there's a lot of glass walls where the visitors can actually watch the production process of the car. And we had a group performing in the main area there, and the sound really was amazing because of the echo of the walls. So unfortunately, I was trying all morning to get this video to work and share my sound, but it didn't happen. So unfortunately, I can't share, but just to give you an idea, this is also something that we can do. Oh, and then switching over to the next slide, instruments and logistics. So it really, again, it depends on the group. Some groups have really big instruments. We had a group from Canada once, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, that sent their instrument by cargo first, and then we picked them up with a bus and then transported them to the location. But we can also rent, of course, instruments for you. Again, costs are involved, but with a quotation, we will let you know exactly how much that would be and what that would look like. We have often a trailer where the instruments are located, and that is transported by the bus. Depending on the venue, some instruments may be restricted. Not every venue likes drums, for example, or even pianos. So again, the more details we have, the better. And here, just some basic things that would be very, very helpful to have if you have a performance group request. Obviously, how old are the participants? What kind of group? Is it a choir, a marching band, concert band, chess band? What kind of music are they playing? Do you have some examples of what they're playing? How experienced are they? And then, of course, like I said, the instruments, what do they bring with them? Which do they need to rent? Do they need amplifier, microphone, boxes, electricity, chairs? And then also important, will all participants of the group informed? Will we have shadows for students? Will we have parents, etc.? So the more info you can gather from your client, the better we can cater to their needs. And sometimes I understand not all the information is known a year or so ahead of time, but the more you know, the better. And of course, we work with you depending on what you have. Then organizing performance is the key requirements. If it is a choir orchestra performance, we do require a songbook that is due also to the venue. Sometimes the published songs post 1920 may require a fee. There's some with churches that can only have certain Latin words. So we'll do all the research for you. We let you know. But just to give you an idea, I'm not sure if everybody knows that this is a requirement. And again, I mentioned the venue restrictions, and I also mentioned already that it is important to know the instrument type and quality that they're either bringing or that the group likes to rent. Ideally, for the planning, we start 10 months prior, or of course, when the client info is received. Usually performance groups are planned quite way in ahead, but if it's not possible, then again, we work with you. For premium venues, the ones that I mentioned earlier that have the wow factor, they may require an early deposit, but again, we would let you know. And yes, early info ensures smooth planning and best options as far as you have it, of course. So I hope this came across quite so it makes sense to you. But again, there's so much information. We do have lists, as I mentioned, of venues we already worked with, what requirements they have, what they allow, what they don't allow. So the best way to start is really just sending us what you have, and then we can start building you a proposal. We will ask questions and ask you for the things we need. But of course, if you need suggestions with venues, what is possible, what is not possible in specific cities, in regions, not just limited to Germany, but surrounding countries as well. Just reach out. No problem ever. You will receive a recording of this webinar, and also the webinar will be placed on the website. I will now stop sharing my screen and just see if there's any questions. And if there's not, then I will say thank you so much for participating. I really appreciate your participation in this webinar. And we'll have another one in November. I'm not quite sure yet what the theme is, but that will be announced through email. And again, if you have any question, please feel free to reach out. We're here for you. We're here to help. And yeah, always available for you. Thank you so much and have a nice rest of your day. Bye. Oh, I didn't check.